everyone, I'm your host Pensyfan19 and welcome to the October 2021 Pensyfan Periodical. This is a monthly news series which covers most of the major breveting headlines from around the world, as well as my opinions on them. We have a lot of articles to go over today, so with that in mind, let's get rolling. First off, might as well start with a bit of a follow-up to a briefly mentioned article from I don't remember when, since the LaGuardia Air Train is pretty much cancelled. After the departure of Governor Cuomo, the state of New York is now reconsidering this proposed connecting service from the Met's Wills Point LIRR station to the airport, as the project is now under review and on hold, with many politicians opposing the project and considering a long-discussed expansion of the Astoria line to LaGuardia. There is also an article which made a proposed sketch of what this extended subway line would look like, but the line itself has been rejected due to the massive amounts of reconstruction in the Astoria region with the building of new elevated tracks and tunnels. With more consideration of the subway expansion to LaGuardia instead of a dedicated air train, it also means it is now less likely that the LIRR will pursue their LaGuardia Express service for Port Washington branch trains from Penn Station to Grand Central, or maybe even the renovation of the Met's Wills Point station, which means we will most likely lose this proposed M7 livery designed specifically for the service. I'm fine with any option which connects the rail system to LaGuardia, although I personally feel most flights in general should be international and short-haul flights should be discouraged. And in regards to the general region, I'm just waiting for a 7-train extension to Whitestone along the former Whitestone branch. Speaking of New York City, the R160s which used to serve the N, R, and W trains have now been transferred to the G train as 5-car consists, while the G's R68s have been swapped for N, R, and W train service. Alstom is to construct new subway cars for the Grand Paris Express Line 18. DB has tested an automated S-Bahn. Alstom is to refurbish the Norskatog Class 72. Dresden and Nostraka have revealed their LRVs, while Porto Metro has revealed their LRV design. LMVG is to order the Alstom Coradia Stream HC, while SJ has ordered CAF Civity Nordics. FPS has revealed their Bimodal Plus EMU, while TVZ has revealed a bi-level diner car. Pixar has revealed a trailer for a Buzz Lightyear origin story. Silkway Transit has ordered black granite engines. TMH has started testing their DNA engine. 2 locally built diesels have been delivered to Argentinian railways. Stadler Kiss EMUs have been delivered to Serbian railways, while Newegg delivered EMUs for Lublin. Siemens has reduced its 1000th Vectron locomotive. The ICE 1 is to be refurbished, while SJ has refurbished their X2000 series. The East Anglican Railway has preserved a British Rail Class 317 train set, while 14411 has been repainted in the BR Metro train livery. DB 101-110 is a heritage unit, and JR East has officially retired the Shinkansen E4 series, thus retiring the last bi-level Japanese HST in service. Speaking of which, here's some interesting news. LNER A4 Union of South Africa has been formally withdrawn from operating service to the dismay of many British rail fans. At least we have 3 other operating A4s left. At the same time, Direct Rail Services is selling their Class 20s, 37s, and 57s. A Garrett has started testing on the Vale of Rhino. The Eurostar brand is to remain after a merger with Dally's, while one of their main routes is to be challenged by Renfe proposing to run service completely out of their home nation between Paris and London. Greater Anglia has announced a behind-the-scenes podcast called Life on Rails. This would be something cool for other rails to have too. Prince Charles has stated that his Aston Martin runs on wine and cheese byproducts in order to be environmentally friendly, while CSX has won a climate award. JJ Ruest is to step down from Canadian National after the railroad failed to acquire Kansas City Southern, while the latter railroad has acquired BNSF-9s. And the original owner of those -9s is to use 2 long-distance engines to pull 1 car twice in one day. Norfolk Southern has held a test train with FRA T16, the Brick, and a geometry car. Amtrak 2115 is a designated soul train. The Southern California Railway Museum is to repaint a Santa Fe SD45 into a bicentennial livery. The TTCI is to expand their testing facility, while all DC Metro 7000 series cars have been temporarily withdrawn. The recently retired Kintetsu Series 12200 is to be refurbished with a fantastic luxurious interior and new livery, while Opa Rail is to convert their diesel switchers to run on hydrogen. Stadler is to produce a Kiwi Rail 10000 series, thus keeping the same double-ended design as the CRRC-built DL class. Norway is to increase funding for passenger rail but ends competitive tendering. And DB Cargo has launched a Freight Belongs on Rail campaign. This is a great cause for DB to support, And considering the supply crisis which the US is currently facing with endless backlog at ports, this is something which American railroads should be supporting as well. Intermodal trains exist for a reason, and we shouldn't have to rely on tiny 18-wheelers as our only form of freight. But at the same time, we also need more engines to carry these intermodals, and there just so happen to be a large amount of Dash 9s and SC-70 Max in storage in numerous yards throughout the US. So once these workhorses are reactivated, they can carry more containers. Now more than ever would not only be a perfect time for freight railroads to shine, but it would also be the perfect opportunity to bring back the Max! Of course, railroads also need more people to operate them, but just hire a bunch of rail fans who have experience in train sim world and give them a bit of extra training. Now here's a follow-up news section for articles covering stories from previous episodes. CP Rail has revealed a Hydro barn in which they will be converting their SD40-2F engines to run on hydrogen. Engine number 101 is most likely going to be converted from CMQ 9024 and will also be considered an ultimate alpha for the Alpha Omega episode on CP Rail. Speaking of hydrogen, FNM is to receive more HMUs from Alstom, even though another German study recommends battery power over hydrogen. Biotrain has entered service in Chile. Amtrak ALC's 42s have started testing on the Northeast Corridor in Michigan. SC Trains is a new operator of Southeastern. Lumo has commenced operations on October 25th, and Britain is to install their equivalent of PTC, specifically ETCS, on some of their heritage fleet, including Tornado, a Black 5, and a Class 55 Delta. In regard to stations, designs have been approved for Gilwood, Ontario and Gradeland, Illinois, while Metro North has opened Port Jervis Station. How about reutilizing the original Port Jervis Station for more platform space? Meanwhile, as the leaves start falling, NJT's Aquatrack has been deployed to prevent wheel slip, while CSX has deployed a new first responders training set. Sounder has opened their Northgate extension. The LARR held their first test run for East Side Access, while Amtrak has begun testing for their Eaton Allen Express expansion to Burlington, Vermont with MPCU 406. Keolis has ended ownership of Eurobahn. OBB has released a climate ticket for €3.50 to make rail travel affordable and efficient. SNCF has sold their tanker car leasing service Ermiwa to a Canadian name which I'm not going to attempt to pronounce. Facebook has been renamed to Meta. Operation Toy Train is back in service while the CP Holiday Train remains cancelled for this year. The Nevada Northern Railway is to extend regular service to McGill, where it will install a turntable. Southern Railway 385, an engine which I saw in person a few months ago, has been repainted into a Morris County special paint scheme. Iowa Interstate 6988 is to be stored for inspection, and Southern Pacific 2472 has been restored and started testing for the first time in 6 years. And congratulations to RJ Corman and the Lake State Railroad for winning Short Line and Regional Railroad of the Year. After all that, it is now time for this month's Meme of the Month. This month's Meme of the Month is Illinois Central 382. And now, the top story of the October 2021 Pensyfan Periodical is FRA releases Midwest Rail Plan. In order to encourage the development of new and improved passenger rail service in one of the most underrated rail corridors, the FRA has released a new map of proposed passenger rail routes in the Midwest. Although for some reason, I feel like I saw this exact map somewhere before. Let me do a little bit of research real quick. Aha! Just as I thought, this map is not new at all. Really, not new. Technically, this appears to be the final draft of a similar map from a few years ago, but this time offering even less service than the original proposal. Now let's see what's been downgraded in this brand new map. Peoria is just gone. Columbus to Fort Wayne has been downgraded to an alternate alignment. Milwaukee to Green Bay, Chicago to Carbondale, and Detroit to Grand Rapids and Toronto have been downgraded to a somewhat vague category called existing/network independent/small market/future corridor. But hey, at least Fort Wayne to Chicago and Indianapolis and Nashville have been upgraded to Express Regional instead of Regional. There's also a dash line for direct service from Chicago to Kansas City and Kalamazoo to Port Huron, but these could be existing routes instead of future corridors. So this map is pretty much a service frequency increase, since pretty much all of these routes either already exist or have been proposed multiple times in the past few decades. And even some of these proposed routes are either going to be reconsidered in who knows how long, or just be left in the planning stages under this proposal. Not to mention, there are plenty of fallen flag main lines around the railroad capital of the world which used to see dozens of trains a day, which are not even mentioned for increased or new passenger service. such as the former Burlington mainline from Chicago to St. Paul, the Rock Island routes to Peoria and Kansas City, the Illinois Central Green Diamond from Chicago to St. Louis, all the Wabash and Nickel Plate routes between St. Louis and Cleveland, all the Milwaukee and CNW routes above Milwaukee and into Iowa. And that's not mentioning all the long-distance services which start at Chicago. Once again, I feel that this is an area where private companies such as Brightline can thrive in, as the Midwest hub has numerous nearby towns and cities which would connect with each other and provide more avenues of competition, instead of having to rely on a one-daily service between two specific cities with numerous transfers. Not to mention, since this revised plan from the FRA has even fewer proposals in it, this was most likely due to a series of negotiations from politicians and others who do not support funding or even hosting passenger rail service, whereas the private sector would provide more funding for a railroad which would only focus on service in a designated region instead of limited funding for the whole nation like the FRA. But regardless, it's good to see that the FRA is considering more routes in the most underrated region in the US, but I feel that private roads can provide more opportunities at a quicker rate than the federal government. Thank you everyone for watching this month's episode of Pensyfan Periodical. There have been a lot of rail news headlines for the month, and it will be very interesting to see what the future has in store for all of these articles. Thank you again for watching. Don't forget to ask your questions for the third Q&A special by November 15th if you have not done so already. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe for more. Have a good day.